1960s Nishijin single ball Pachinko machine. This quick start guide will show you how to set it up and play. Your machine, since you purchased it from us, already has support boards on the bottom to keep it stabilized so it doesn't fall over. But for anyone else watching this video, you'll need to stabilize it. These are 1x4x10s. You can screw a couple of these into the bottom of the machine. You could also mount your Pachinko machine in a cabinet. It's just top heavy, so you need to stabilize it. One of the first things you want to do is to make sure your ball drain lever is locked. And on this particular model, you have a couple of thumb tabs. You see these two springs here and here? There's two tabs, and right now it's locked. It's pinched closed. But if you were ever to flip it open like that, if it was open like that, as you pour balls in your machine, they would drain all the way out. So we want to make sure that's locked. We want to make sure two covers are closed. The covers are optional, but you have this cover here. If you pull down and lift out, it's just a cover that covers your jackpot seesaw. So we'll pull down. Then you have this cover here. This one actually is required. It's your track cover. It's got a little paper clip type thing here. If you pull down on it, and if this was open, it's spring loaded, it'll pop open. That gives you access so you can get inside of here and clean out the tracks if you need to, so that the balls can roll down them and into the seesaw. So we'll go ahead and close that. Now this shouldn't happen in shipment, but we're just coming across further from where we were. There's this long rod here, and it goes underneath another piece of metal here. So you just want to make sure that this is below it so that it can lift up the levers. If it's ever on the other side, then it won't function properly. So you just need to pull it out gently, push it underneath. The most common problem with these Pachinko machines is when the one ball seesaw is in the wrong position. That is the red part back here behind this recycler tray. Right now it's in the down position, and in this position balls will back up in your machine. When you get jackpots, the jackpots won't pay out, and those ball jams are really hard to clear later on. So you need to make sure that that part is in the up position like this. Now that part has a wire attached to it behind this tray, and that wire comes down and it's attached to these levers down here. So I'm just going to push down on this red part, and I'm going to do that a couple times. Let me move this out of the way so that you can see how they pivot together. You're hearing a couple balls. There's a couple balls in that red seesaw, and those balls act as counterweights. So you can pivot from any of these points. I can grab right here and pivot. And what you're seeing me do here is I'm pulling this out of the way because there aren't any balls in the machine. We'll talk more about that later. Inside your recycler tray, there's this little plastic ramp. It should be laying down, probably is. But then you may also have this metal arm coming across here, and it snaps on over here. So just make sure that's snapped on. And also, this part that I was moving earlier, it's got these wires on the back of it that are pushing up this one, and they're also pushing up this one. So you just need to make sure that the wires on this part are below these two horizontal wires. If ever someone pulls out and gets them on the wrong side, they won't work. Top of the machine, there is one more lever at this turn here. So balls will come down your track, come down this track, and they'll enter this turn. And you've got this part here that whenever your recycler tray below is full, it'll move this down to stop balls from flowing. And that's all working just fine. You want it to pivot like this. There is a part back here, a little tab, and I can flip that tab over. You can see it moving now. And when I do, it locks this closed. So you don't want this closed, you want it open, so make sure that that tab is flipped back the other way. Now we're ready to connect the battery, and when we do, nothing will happen right now. That's for this switch here, and when you get a jackpot, that switch will activate and it'll cause this light bulb to flash and this light bulb to flash. That's how this machine is wired. Some machines actually have two switches. This one flashes when you get a jackpot. and then there's another switch up here or over here, and that switch causes this light bulb to come on to let you know that this tray is out of balls. One way you can tell that your tray is out of balls is, well, one, if you get a jackpot and the light comes on and stays on, you need to stop, because it's just supposed to flash. Stop, turn it around, and check everything before you proceed. Otherwise you could have serious ball jams. However, you've got another option here. This weight here is attached to a bar here, and you see this moving up and down. On the front of the machine where you put balls in to shoot, this controls a door, and when there aren't enough balls in your supply tray, it'll drop that door down and you can't even play until you fill this tray up with balls. Here is where you put balls in on the front, and right now that door has dropped down, the metal plate has dropped down, so if I try to put a ball in, it just can't even go until I fill the machine up with balls. It puts the door out of the way, and now I can play. We'll go ahead and load some balls here into your receiving tray. This is usually where you get them out to put them in the hole on the side. Pour some balls into your supply tray. They'll roll across this track, they'll make this turn, go down this tube and shoot, and go into your recycling tray. And when they go into your recycler tray, they'll also go down these lower tracks down here and into your jackpot seesaw. Okay, it's stopped because there's enough balls in the tray, so even if I pour more up here, they don't flow down here until they're needed. And I'm going to go ahead and put a few extra balls in this tray. You need to take your bucket and you'll set it right here. You see the black line, that'll kind of indicate where it needs to go. It's there for two purposes. Whenever you drain your machine, empty all the balls out, they will come out this chute right here and catch them. Otherwise this tray isn't used unless your recycling tray starts to overfill. So if it starts to get real full, balls will back up the tray, and then there's this overflow chute here that they'll fall out. Okay, to play, we'll put a ball through here, it'll roll across here and into the shooter lane, then we're going to pull the flipper back and we'll let go. There's a spring, and that tension on the spring will shoot the ball, and sometimes if you pull all the way down, it'll come all the way around and it'll start a second loop and then come out and land here. Or you can pull down part way and the ball will just go up this ramp and then come here. Now the object is to get the ball to go into any of these pockets or tulips or the main center attraction, and if you get it to go in any of those, the same thing happens. The jackpot seesaw here will tilt down and it'll pay out, and the balls will roll across, hit a bell, and they'll come down into your receiving tray here. Also this light will flash and this light will flash. So the payout's the same no matter where you go. You do have a tulip here, and right now it's open. When a ball goes in, it closes, and if it's closed and the ball goes in, it opens. We'll go ahead and play for a little bit. And as you can see, it wasn't enough to go all the way around. Okay, we got one to go in the tulip here. You saw the lights flash and the payout of balls. And we have a lock here. These machines were originally mounted in the walls in pachinko parlors, and the only way they could get to the back of the machine was to use a key and swing it open from the wall. You won't need a key because you're just sitting on a table, not to mention they didn't include keys since these are in casinos. However, if you did want to activate the key, the way it worked is there's a lever right here, and turning the key basically did the same thing as pulling down on this lever. I'm going to pull down, and it's going to unlatch at the top and the bottom, and it's real heavy, but you can see I can swing the machine open from the frame. Now while you'll never really need to do the one with the key, there is a latch over here that you may have to do occasionally. This opens the playfield door. you basically just lift up on it. But right now I can't lift because it's locked. This little red piece of plastic here, it has a nail on the end, and that nail is going through the metal and holding it in place, so you can just pull it out. You really don't need this for home use. It was basically there to prevent people from being able to cheat and break into the machines and parlors. Now I can lift up on this, and when I do, there's a latch here, and there's one up just out of view, and I can pull open the chrome frame, giving me access to the play field in case the ball gets jammed in there or something and you need to get inside there. Now with the play field door open, I'm going to drop a ball in one of the pockets so you can see the seesaw here, get a close-up of it, what happens when you get a jackpot. So you can see it pivot, it emptied its balls, and it pivoted back and it refilled. There is an area over here. What this was for is, in pachinko parlors, you know, you pay money to get the balls in play, hoping you win more, gambling, and if your machine was ever out of balls and you got a jackpot, this is kind of a holding area. It would hold up to 3-4 balls for you until the pachinko parlor attendant would come by and refill the machine. And when they did, you could then use this lever here, and pulling down on this lever here would load each one of those balls into the jackpot seesaw, and you could get your payment for those balls that we're holding. I'm going to artificially create a situation where we don't have any balls in the machine, so we can drop some in and see them go into the holding area. Okay, one just went into the holding area. Basically it did that because the seesaw is in the wrong position. 3, 4. Now the next one I drop in, there's actually a hole here, and it will come out and it'll fall down and it'll go back into the shooter lane. So basically you could only have 4 jackpots in holding before it wouldn't work anymore. And that fell out because I didn't have the glass closed. So now those are there. I'm going to go ahead and close the door. I'm going to reset the seesaw. And now we're going to activate this lever to get the payout of the balls. Now those 4 have been paid. Here are the levers whenever you're trying to get the balls out of the holding area. There is a metal plate here, and it's attached to this wire here going up to this piece of plastic. So as I activate the lever, it's going to lift up, lifting up one of the balls so that it can then fall into the seesaw and pay out. Let me go ahead and reset the seesaw. Now I'm going to push that white lever on front. So you saw the ball kind of roll over here, roll out that hole and into the seesaw. We'll do it again. And there's not enough balls in the tray, so the seesaw didn't. Let's take a look at what happens from the back when you get a jackpot. I'll drop a ball in right behind here. You see the dark circle, that's a jackpot. And it'll roll into the red seesaw, which will tilt down, and then the ball will flow behind here. It'll come down. It'll come down this chute here, this clear chute. There is a lever in that chute, and it goes all the way across back in here, and it'll cause that lever to pivot down. And when that lever pivots down, it'll then move all the linkage that will allow the jackpot seesaw to pay out. Jackpot seesaw payout, the levers will reset, and we'll be back in business. I'll drop about 3 in. Okay, that concludes this quick start guide. If you have any questions, just please let us know. Thanks again.